gangsters, what's up? Hey, this is the first Monday of my vacation vlog, which I'm doing every day for the majority of my vacation. That's like 2.5 weeks, so I've been on vacation now for almost a week. And today, I was sitting on a couch for like 4 hours. I watched a movie and then immediately restarted it and watched it again. As part of my consecutive contest, and whichever movie holds up best on a second viewing is going to be the winner. Today's entry was Cadillac Records, which is about a Jewish guy named Len, played by Adrien Brody, who starts his own recording studio on the south side of Chicago in the 50s, and he basically finds guys like Muddy Waters, who's played by Jeffery Wright. He's a blues guitarist, and Little Walter, who is a harmonica player who was 17 when the events of the movie began, and of course Chuck Berry recorded there as well. He's played by Mos Def. I love Mos Def. So I was not anticipating really liking this movie because it's a musical biopic, and they tend to be a lot of the same. Of course, the details are different, the songs, the names, what have you, but they all start off doing great and have big success, and then there's the downfall. They have issues involving drugs and drink, money, women, stuff like that, and this biopic was fairly typical in that regard, so I wasn't really all that eager to see it. But I have to say that although it was something of a struggle to get through this movie the first time, I really found it moved a whole lot better the second time. That's very strange. I don't understand that at all. It was actually, I noticed something weird. Well, not all that weird, but whenever a scene began, of course, I immediately knew what was going to happen. For some reason, this made the movie go a little faster. I don't get it. I don't understand, really. Beyonce is in this movie as well, Beyonce Knowles. She plays Etta James, and she's also one of the executive producers of the movie, which makes me think this is probably the reason why a whole bunch of numbers throughout the movie get cut short, where she gets 3 full numbers that don't end prematurely. So there's that. So that's a little disappointing, but you know, she's Beyonce. She's actually gotten to be a pretty good actress now. She's come a long way, I'd say, since Austin Powers and Goldmember. But when she sings, of course, she sounds just like Beyonce. She doesn't sound much like Etta James. And given that I've heard At Last many times, she just really can't compare. A lot of the actors are really good in this. Columbus Short was good. Adrien Brody, I like him. Emmanuel Shirky plays his wife, but she didn't have, unfortunately, all that much to do. Jeffrey Wright I really like a lot, and Mos Def I really like a lot. And then there's the guy who plays Howlin' Wolf. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's this big, hulking, scary guy, and he, you know, sings a super throaty voice, you know. It's like that song, I don't remember exactly how it goes, but it's the one where he goes, ooh, during it. Yeah. So all in all, I have to say that although I wasn't crazy about the movie the first time, I liked it more the second time. That's very strange. So that movie is already out ahead of the pack, because who knows how many of these movies I'm going to see are actually going to be more fun and more interesting and move better the second immediate time. I don't know. It's weird. So we'll see about that. So I want to talk about 1995 as well, some of the films that came out then. 1995 was not a great year for movies overall, at least for me anyway. Braveheart won Best Director and Best Picture, but I'm not big on that movie all that much. Apollo 13 came out, and that's a decent movie, but not as exciting as a lot of people seem to feel it is. A bunch of movies came out that really aren't all that good. Movies like Species and Under Siege 2 and Batman Forever. This is the first of the Joel Schumacher Batman movies. And of course GoldenEye came out, which is the first of the James Bond movies starring Pierce Brosnan. And my favorite movies of that year were, well, the first one was The Cure. Number 5 on my list would be The Cure, which hasn't been available on video for a long time, it seems, but it was on cable a couple months ago, so I managed to see it a second time. I hadn't seen it, you know, in 15 years, and it was just suddenly on again. That was great. The movie stars Brad Renfro and Joseph Mazzello as a couple of suburban kids. Joseph Mazzello has AIDS. He got HIV through a needle, a blood transfusion, so he's become sort of a pariah amongst the kids and a lot of the adults in the neighborhood. Brad Renfro shrugs his shoulders and goes, whatever, you know, let's hang out anyway. So they have fun running around and looking for amongst the foliage in their neighborhood and by the river for potential cures. And then they read a tabloid article about this doctor who supposedly found the cure for AIDS, and they decide to build a raft and sail down the Mississippi like Huck Finn and go and find this guy and get the cure. This movie is directed by Peter Horton. I'm not sure he's done a whole lot of other movies, but he made it for Universal that was sinking a lot of their money into Waterworld that year, and so they weren't too worried about what he was doing because his budget was minuscule by comparison. My number 4 favorite movie that year was Safe, which is a movie that Julianne Moore starred in for the director Todd Haynes. They teamed up again in 2003 for Far From Heaven. This is a really good movie. It's kind of arid and disturbing. She's a housewife in Los Angeles, and she's getting sick for some reason they can't figure out. They think it might be what they call modern malady, some sort of contemporary disorder, where she's getting sick from the chemicals in ordinary household products, something like that. But it's implied that her life is making her sick because, you know, it's just so, it just seems so meaningless and devoid of passion. My number 3 favorite movie of the year was The Bridges of Madison County, which is, of course, the adaptation of the popular novel. Clint Eastwood directed it, and he starred in it along with Meryl Streep. It's a very fine movie. My number 2 favorite movie was Before Sunrise, which is directed by Richard Linklater, and he and his 2 leads, Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, teamed up 9 years later for the sequel Before Sunset. Basically, the first movie is just the 2 of them meet by chance on a train in Europe. They decide to spend the night in Vienna just kind of hanging out and talking. It's a great movie. I love it. And I love the sequel even more. It's fantastic. And of course, my favorite movie of that year was David Fincher's Seven, which was his big breakthrough. I saw that movie several times. I love it, and was so disappointed that it only got 1 Oscar nomination for editing, not for cinematography, not makeup effects, not, you know, screenplay or, you know, one of the acting roles, but just for editing. I didn't even watch the Oscars that year. I couldn't tell you who won Best Actor, Best Actress. I could look it up, but, you know, I just didn't even bother because I didn't want to watch Mel Gibson get a couple of Oscars and no Oscars go to David Fincher, you know, but he'll probably make up for that year with The Social Network. They seem to think that's the favorite for Best Movie or Best Picture. Anyway, so there we are for Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow. I will have, of course, have more of the consecutive contest entries in the coming week and a half. Hope you'll tune in. Thanks very much. Take it easy.